What if the collapse of Russia doesn't begin in Ukraine, but 10,000 kilometers away in Venezuela? The capture of Nicolas Maduro wasn't just the fall of a dictator. It may have exposed something far more dangerous for Moscow, that Russia can no longer protect its allies, that its weapons don't work as promised, and that its global influence is evaporating faster than anyone expected. Today, we break down how events in Venezuela could accelerate the slow collapse of Putin's Russia, and why this moment may mark a historic turning point in global power. Moscow poured billions of dollars into the country, funding everything from advanced military equipment and oil infrastructure to intelligence cooperation. For Maduro, Russia was a lifeline, the guarantor of his survival against internal and external pressure. For Russia, Venezuela was a strategic foothold just miles from the United States, a constant, nagging presence. It was a clear message to Washington: we can play in your backyard too. This relationship wasn't just about ideology or friendship. It was a transactional partnership built on mutual need. Russia gained influence and Maduro gained protection. It was the perfect arrangement, allowing Moscow to project power far beyond its borders and challenge American dominance in its own sphere of influence. But when US forces moved in Russia, did nothing. There were no jets scrambled, no ships dispatched, no dramatic rescue mission, just silence. And the entire world noticed. The operation to capture Maduro was fast, precise, and overwhelming. It was a textbook example of modern warfare, executed with stunning efficiency. But the real story wasn't just the success of the raid. It was the catastrophic failure of the systems designed to stop it. Venezuela's Russian-made air defenses, the S-300s and other advanced systems that were supposed to create an impenetrable shield, failed to even detect, let alone stop, the incoming forces. Its Chinese surveillance systems, touted as a new era of technological oversight, didn't see it coming. The entire command and control structure, built with Russian and Chinese assistance, collapsed in a matter of hours. This wasn't just a military defeat for Venezuela. It was a live, globally televised demonstration of the stark limitations of Russian and Chinese military technology. For decades, Russia has built its reputation and its export market by selling weapons with an implicit promise of protection. In Venezuela, that promise was shattered in real time. The world saw that the emperor, or at least his armor, had no clothes. Russia's economy is surprisingly dependent on weapons exports. It's one of the few high-tech industries where Moscow remains a global player. They buy them because they believe Russia, as a great power, will stand behind its hardware and its clients. After Venezuela, that core belief is cracking. If Russia couldn't or wouldn't protect its closest Latin American ally, a regime it had invested in for over 20 years, why would any nation in Africa, Asia, or the Middle East trust Moscow's promises? Every failed missile in the Venezuelan arsenal, every disabled radar system, and every unanswered call for help from an ally sends a ripple of doubt across the global arms market. This single raid may cost Russia tens of billions of dollars in future arms sales. The reputational damage is immense. Potential customers are now asking themselves a very simple question. If these weapons fail to protect Russia's most important client in the Americas, what good will they be for us? Beyond weapons, Russia's other great economic lever is energy. Russia had hoped that through its state-owned oil companies, it could use Venezuelan oil to bypass sanctions, support black market trade, and stabilize its own volatile energy revenues. But with Maduro gone and a new government potentially aligning with the West, that entire strategy is collapsing. As sanctions against Russia itself continue to tighten, its own refineries are burning from drone strikes. Oil revenues are shrinking and it's forced to sell its crude at ever-deepening discounts. And when oil prices fall, Russia's budget bleeds. For Moscow, oil isn't just about money, it's about national survival. It funds the war, props up the economy, and maintains social stability. The loss of control over Venezuela's oil is a direct blow to Russia's economic arc. But perhaps the most dangerous impact of the events in Venezuela isn't economic or military, it's psychological. The message sent to the rest of the world was simple, brutal, and clear. Russia cannot defend its interests far from its own borders. For Russia's remaining allies, countries like Syria, Iran, or various states in Central Asia and Africa, that's a terrifying realization. They are now forced to question the value of their allegiance. For Russia's rivals, it's a green light, an invitation to challenge Moscow's influence wherever it seems weak. History shows us that great powers and empires don't always collapse when they lose a major war. They often collapse when their allies and client states simply stop believing in their power. They collapse when the perception of strength evaporates. Power is a shared belief, a form of confidence. This is how that confidence dies, not in a single massive explosion, but in a series of quiet, unnerving signals that the protector can no longer protect. So, why does all this matter for Vladimir Putin personally? His entire legitimacy, his two-decade grip on power, is built on the image of strength. Strength requires three key things: money, loyal allies, and the fear of your adversaries. Right now, all three pillars are crumbling. Sanctions are crushing state revenue. The war in Ukraine is draining manpower and resources at an unsustainable rate. And now, the Venezuelan crisis demonstrates the hard limits of Russia's global reach, shattering the myth of its power projection. Internally, these failures create visible cracks. We see reports of elite infighting as different factions blame each other for the strategic blunders. We see accelerating capital flight as the wealthy move their money to safety. And we see a growing public disillusionment masked by state propaganda but simmering just beneath the surface. The very same forces that hollowed out and ultimately destroyed the Venezuelan state corruption, isolation, and economic incompetence are now circling Russia. Venezuela alone will not cause the end of Russia. But history rarely moves in one single dramatic moment. It unfolds in a cascade of events, a series of signals that accumulate until a tipping point is reached. Maduro's capture was one of those signals. It was a warning to Moscow. It was a message to the world, and it might just be the start of something irreversible. The question is no longer asterisk if asterisk Russia's global influence will decline, but asterisk how fast asterisk. The illusion of its formidable global power has been challenged, and once that happens, it's incredibly difficult to restore. Power is not about how loud you threaten. It's about who shows up when it matters. And this time, Russia didn't. Thanks for watching. If you found this analysis interesting, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video.